Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be we spent 6 days together, but now she's gone cold. Why? Well, first and foremost, you got to remember women are like cats, men tend to be more like dogs. And so cats are kind of moody and they're kind of fickle. Sometimes they're pretty clingy and they want to sit in your lap and purr. And other times they don't want anything to do with you. And you can't take it personally. That's just the way kitty cats are. So don't take it personal. So this particular email is from a guy. He's 35 years old. He says he's read 3% Man about 3 times over the last 3 years. And he admits he's been a pretty lazy student. So he met an 18-year-old girl who he really liked. She was blowing up his phone for several weeks. And they spent about 6 days together. He said barely leaving his bedroom. And then she said she left, telling him that she would miss him until they saw each other again. And then she went cold, and now he's like, she was all over me, FaceTiming me all the time. And now I'm like, it seems like I can't. She doesn't even want to. I'm like a second-class citizen. It's like the kitty cat doesn't seem to care no more. So he says, Corey, I hope all is well. Thanks for helping me in my journey. I have to admit, I've only read the book 3 or 4 times over the course of 3 years, and I've been forgetting the next steps and shooting myself in the foot. Well, you got to participate in your own rescue, dude. I say it all the time. You cannot cherry pick these videos and ignore the amount of time that you need to spend to commit the book to memory. You got to read it 10 to 15 times because, as it says in the beginning of the book, each time you go through it, you're going to maybe retain 6, 7, 8% of the material. And on a 250-page book, that's going to take you 12, 15 times. Because you have to get to know the material so well, you don't have to think about it, and you can actually teach a class on it. And if you don't know that, then there's just too many things that the average guy is going to do and say, because that's what we see in TV and the movies. And we, in essence, have been brainwashed without even realizing we've been brainwashed since the time we were little boys and girls. And so then we would grow up and we see all these dysfunctional archetypes on TV and in the movies, and we in essence behave and become emotionally anchored to all those dysfunctional ways of being. Women are taught to act like men and be masculine, and men are taught to act like women and be feminine. And what that does, it ruins the sexual polarity, not only in heterosexual relationships, but it ruins them in gay and lesbian relationships as well. You have to have highly polarized relationships to keep both people really attracted to one another. And the more people act similar and androgynous, then your feelings become more platonic than sexual and romantic. So it's important to keep things balanced. He says, I'm a 35-year-old man and single, living between Florida and Louisiana. I met this hot model that's 18 in Louisiana, and she was blowing me up for weeks. She was doing 100% of the pursuing, FaceTiming and texting me and begging me to come back to Louisiana to hang out with her. Super high interest. She's into him. She has a perception at this time that he's the man. He's a catch. He's the older man that's got his shit together. He's a world traveler. And so she's built this fantasy in her head of who he is, and she wants to be with him. She wants to experience him and his strength. However, once they spent a bunch of time together, and because he wasn't a very good student, he's probably still saying and doing a lot of things he should have corrected by now because he's been lazy and cherry-picking videos here and there, which may be great for helping you get laid occasionally, or is, but if you don't really take the time to read the book 10 to 15 times, then you're going to have a hard time transitioning out of the pickup and early dating phase and into the relationship phase. And what'll happen is you'll get together like this guy did with this girl. She's all over you, and instead of her falling hopelessly head over heels in love with you and wanting to be in a relationship, she gets to a point where she's like, she doesn't really want to be with you anymore. So in essence, you talk and text her out of liking you and being romantically attracted to you and being sexually turned on by you. When I came back, we had an incredible date and hardly left my bedroom for a legit 6 days. Well, congratulations. The indoor Olympics lasted for 6 days. And so if you spend that much time with somebody you barely knew, then you should expect a pullback. You should expect her to go and do other things and to kind of miss you. But because we know he was kind of a sloppy student, there was probably lots of things he was doing and saying when he was with her that he just didn't even realize because he didn't have the self-awareness because he didn't take the time to learn the book. And so as the 6 days went on, instead of her getting more turned on and into him, she started getting more turned off. So he says, after the last day together, she told me she would miss me and would see me soon, which was the first time she didn't set the next date. So in other words, she left and didn't bring up getting together again. And so we have to assume that now the kitty cat's got a little bored. I mean, you go from barely knowing each other to living together for 6 days and fucking each other's brains out. You should expect a pullback. She got her fill. And so you got to be able to just let her go. After the last day together, she said she would miss him. And obviously she didn't set the date. So he says before, every time she would leave, she immediately made another plan to see me and was super into me. Yeah, because she had high interest. And on some level, she's probably worried that she wouldn't see him again, that he would get tired of her. Now it's been about 4 days, and I really haven't heard from her much at all. I know there's a few reasons it might happen. Number one, I was certainly into her, and I got too googly-eyed with her. Number two, there's another guy, definitely possible. Or number three, she's 18 years old and wants to do other things. Well, if you spent 6 days together and she goes cold, and she's still been kind of lukewarm, you should kind of expect that. But I would suspect, because he's not been a good student, he probably was doing and saying things that made himself look unattractive, and he really had no idea he was doing it. Because again, he's barely read the book 3 times in 3 years. So he's maybe got 20% of it. So you can learn enough to get laid for a week or two, but typically start to fumble the football. He's like, I guess my question is, how can a girl go from FaceTiming me and spending 6 consecutive days with me telling how much she likes me to going AWOL? I know you say don't take it personally, but it certainly is difficult not to do. Anyways, I'm back to reading your book again and committed to reading it at least 4 more times by the end of the year. It's July 5th. 4 times by the end of the year. Dude, if you put the audiobook on 2-speed and you follow along in a digital physical copy, you can get through it in 4 hours. So that just tells me most people major in minor things, and so you're really not even taking this seriously. And this girl has gone cold. You should get through the book a couple of times, at least in a week, just so you can fill in your knowledge gap and start to see what you're doing and saying that has turned her off so you can clean up your game. Because I would say after the 6 days for her to kind of go cold like that, you spend a lot of time together, so it's to be expected, but I would assume that there were just things you did and said that probably turned her off. And so what I would do is I just wait to hear from her. And next time she reaches out, assume she wants to see you and make the next date. And it sounds like you were strictly waiting on her to bring up getting together. And sometimes they'll just stop doing that because, again, you spent 6 days together, so it's to be expected. So if a couple days go by and she reaches out, hey, babe, I'd love to see you, just make the next date. Hang out, have fun, hook up. But this is part of the problem, is that you don't know the book well enough, and so you're kind of going, what do I do next? You're kind of guessing. You're throwing darts in a blizzard, basically. So the fact that you're kind of struggling, you went from doing great at the pickup and the early dating, but then kind of fumbled it after the fact. Your job is to create the next opportunity for sex time. Hang out, have fun while you're hanging out, and hook up when the signs are there that she's ready to be touched, ready to be kissed. And as the book says, if you don't hear from her for a full week, then reach out, try to set the next date. If she's unsure of her schedule, just say, hey, figure it out and get back to me. I'd love to see you. And just leave it at that. And when she does reach out after that, assume she checked her schedule. She's ready to make a date. So be direct, be decisive, get right to the point. Don't be going, how are you? How you been? Just say, hey, it's great to hear from you. What's your schedule like? Just assume that she figured it out and she's ready to make a date. That's all you got to do. So it's a slight pullback, probably some things he did and said that turned her off. But again, you can't take it personally. It's just women are like kitty cats. So the good news is you spent a lot of time with her, wound her up a little bit, but instead of her interest continuing to go up, it kind of went up for a while. Then when you spent time together, it just started going down. And so that's not good. So we need to turn that around. You got to spend the time with the book. I mean, it's free to read it in the members area, the free members area of the website. So there's absolutely no reason not to take the time to learn the material. Saying you're going to go through it 4 more times by the end of the year, it's like, you really like this girl? Do you enjoy that pain? Because that's going to continue to happen every time you meet a girl you really like. You're going to fumble the football. And that's just the seduction football, I should say. It just shouldn't be happening. Especially following me for 3 years and you barely got through the book 3 times. That's pretty half-assed, dude. You got to step up your game, homie. So if you guys haven't already signed up for our paying members only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, to join on Spotify, and to join on my website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab at the top of your screen on any page when you get there. So you can choose a monthly plan or an annual plan. You get a 7-day free trial so you can check out what content you actually get for your money. So you get 6 additional weekly video coaching newsletters similar to this one that are for paying members only. There is a weekly 3% Man Study Group podcast, a weekly Mastering Yourself Study Group podcast where we literally go page by page in both of the books and discuss everything at length. We take viewer questions as well. We have viewer question videos where we just do nothing but answer short viewer questions that are sent in. We have some special interviews and other videos that we do that are exclusive and accessible only by the paying members only. And if you choose an annual plan on my website, understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab. After the 7-day free trial is over, you get a 25% discount for the annual plan for paying the whole thing up front. And if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com. Click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.